The flowers you choose for your wedding speak volumes. What do you think those roses are saying? Stay tuned to find out.
Welcome to Weddings with Zita. Here's your host and producer, Zita Christian.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Weddings with Zita. My guest tonight is a florist, which is why we have some beautiful flowers here in the studio, and her name is Terry Krasavage. And your company is Terry Krasavage Wedding and Events Florals in Rocky Hill, Connecticut, correct?
That's correct.
Recently located, so
We
you
are
had a big
recently
move.
relocated, still
Yeah.
in Rocky Hill, yes.
Good, good. Oh, I'm so glad that you could come tonight. You never know when you're going to meet people. Terry and I met at a wedding business workshop sponsored by, or given by Alan Berg. And was sitting at the table, and I was hoping when I got to that workshop that I would meet a florist. And there you were, sitting right next to me.
First person I met.
That's it. There was serendipity. So I have so many things to talk with you about tonight, and thank you for sending photos, and I want to share them with our guests tonight.
You're welcome.
But we get started, and I want to know, sort of globally, what's the value of having the fresh flowers at the wedding?
Oh, it creates the ambience of the wedding, and it just does so much, it brings so much value to the wedding because of the fresh flowers and such, yes.
And for me, like when I think about it, maybe I'm coming like from a layman's perspective, but I look at flowers and the first thing I think of are, okay, what's the color? So I'm seeing something and then I want to smell them. I mean, my nose immediately.
Absolutely, and they set the tone for the whole wedding.
Yeah, so you got this multi-sensory experience going. I love fresh flowers. I mean, I buy fresh flowers at the grocery store all the time. In fact, just today I picked up some, and the lady at the counter said, "Do you want me to take the price tag off?" And I said, "No, these are for me. I want fresh flowers at home."
That's wonderful, because it's so nice to have fresh flowers in your house all the time.
Even if you break them up and put them in little vases.
Absolutely.
It's good. So I want to talk about wedding flowers. Give me some examples of traditional flowers for a wedding.
Well, your traditional flowers would be, of course, your roses and hydrangeas, freesias, ranunculus. They're, they're very common flowers that we use nowadays, and your calla lilies, and they come in so many different shades.
Yeah,
they're just beautiful.
What about the ones that are not so traditional? The things that are more, and I don't want to say trendy, and trending is. I don't know if that's the right word.
Trending, the word trending nowadays. There are trends, but the weddings are such a personal reflection of each individual couple.
They are.
It really is. So there are trends, but every wedding is so customized.
So when you're thinking about the non-traditional flowers, like I did a wedding not too long ago. I'm a wedding officiant, and I see all these beautiful flowers, and one of the brides had a bouquet of succulents. And I thought, oh my gosh, how clever, how inventive.
They are very, very popular. The succulents, the Echeveria is what they're called. There's hundreds of varieties. And then we use a lot of proteas, the pincushion proteas and the silver brunia, which is from South Africa, and it's in the protea family, and it gives that beautiful gray tone.
We have some pictures coming up, and I think there's something in there, so you'll point that out when we see it. Give me an example of a formal flower versus an informal flower. Like if somebody's saying they're getting married in a castle and somebody else is getting married like in an open field at a farm. What are some different
Well, I think
flowers?
at a castle I would do beautiful open garden roses and phalaenopsis orchids and beautiful flowers like that, versus the sunflowers and dahlias and gerberas that are more informal.
Beautiful. I had never, and as soon as you said those flowers, I can picture them in my mind. So yes. What about silk flowers? I was thinking, what about the bride who has allergies, because we're filming this in spring and there's a lot of pollen out there. So
There
what
sure
do you
is.
do, or what can you offer for that
Well,
that
we
bride?
we don't necessarily do silk flowers. We will on occasion, but a lot of the flowers are so over hybridized nowadays that there really is not much pollen. And your roses and hydrangeas, they're not going to cause any major allergy problems.
Oh, that's
You know,
good to
perhaps
know.
a gardenia or a lily of the valley. Some of the lilies also have a lot of pollen, and we always take that out.
You take out the pollen?
We take out the pollen because as it develops, it can brush off onto the bridal dress.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, you get that yellowy, orangey powder.
Exactly.
What? So you
We
how do you
actually
take it off?
we take the stamens out of the flower as they open.
Yeah.
When they come into our store, they're in a very closed form. So we get our flowers in early in the week so that they can develop and open. And so if we're using a lily, and even if we're doing them in arrangements, we always take the stamens out so that the pollen doesn't get on any dresses or table linens and such.
Ah, good to know. Am I the only person who never heard of that? I mean,
Probably not.
oh, okay, all right.
That's the importance of choosing a professional in
well, you're
any
right.
of your wedding vendors.
You're right. You're right. I would never have thought about that. So let's talk about shapes, and this is where I want to get into some photos. First, tell me about just generally what are some of the different shapes that you can find in a bouquet.
Well, you have your classic clutch style bouquet, which is probably one of the most popular styles nowadays. Although the trend of the cascading bouquets are coming back.
coming back, yeah.
Yeah, and that was due to Kate Middleton several
Yes.
years ago. So you're seeing that more and more. We're getting that request to have a cascading bouquet.
Okay.
And then you have your loose garden clutch with lots of texture and different greeneries and such.
Yeah, there's so many different things. So it's beautiful. And I have a couple photos here of bouquets. Let's pick up photo number 1. This one, okay, so this is Stacy and Megan, right?
Yes, that was the civil union that we did last summer. And they both had matching bouquets.
So their bouquets were matching.
They were.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you do same-sex weddings, do you find that a lot of times the couples want matching bouquets or something that's like alternating colors, or?
Again, it depends on their personalities, and they chose to have the same style and flowers for the bouquet. But we, on occasion, we will have different style bouquets.
Okay. And then we have another bouquet image. This one, though, that's gorgeous.
That is a classic bouquet. It's just very romantic. It's with gardenias and roses and ranunculus and spray roses and freesias, and it has a beautiful rhinestone brooch on the handle along with some rhinestone wrap, and it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous bouquet.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about flowers, this particular flowers, because I know we have a couple photos, and there was one, photo 3, that had some gorgeous peonies, and I love the color. I mean, I love peonies to begin with, but look at that color.
That variety of peony is called gardenia, and it's a very pale blush peony, and it's just beautiful. We have those. We get those imported out of Holland, and that was actually a wedding in July, so we are able to still provide peonies for our brides in July.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, I didn't want to get into that because that whole idea of seasonal flowers is something I want to discuss. But before we
Sure.
do that, I want to look at one more photo here. And this one, Maria and Brian, the first thing I noticed when I saw this was this gorgeous bouquet that she's carrying, and there's no, he has his medals on, but no boutonniere.
Right, well, that was a
What's the
military
deal?
wedding.
Okay.
Of course, her bouquet was beautiful. Again, the
Yes.
blush trends are so big right now, from
Yeah.
the real pale pink into the taupes. But so she had a very pale bouquet, but he was in the military. So when the groom or the groomsmen are in uniform, they cannot wear a boutonniere. So they can't put anything on their uniform. So, and you have to
Yes.
know that.
Yes.
because a lot of people don't, even sometimes the brides.
Yes, I had a wedding not long ago, and the young man was new to the military, and he certainly knew, but his young bride was not aware of that, and he did not, wear anything on his uniform. I'm sure he enjoyed it afterwards. Having grown up in the military, I do know about that one though. So. We talked a few moments ago about some of these trend flowers, and particularly the succulents. And you gave me a picture. It was a photo that had some gardenias and some succulents in it. And I noticed too that it also had color in it. I mean, there's that pink, that blush, and the sort of a bluish green gray in the succulent. What are we looking at here?
It's the blue-green succulent. As I said prior, that there are so many varieties of the succulents. And that was a quicksand rose and a Sahara rose. And we had gardenias and, again, ranunculus and hydrangeas in that. And the bouquets, the bridesmaids' bouquets, I think we may have a picture coming up of that, complement it. That bouquet. We'll talk about that.
And we'll get to that one in a minute. But while that photo is still up, I'm looking at those colors, and I'm seeing white, I'm seeing like an ivory or like a candlelight, and that blush, and again, you were talking about a, what did you call it, sand?
Quicksand.
Quicksand. So all of these pinky mauve taupey colors very popular for this year, huh? Okay, that's good to know.
It's been very popular the past few years and into next year. And we're already booking weddings into 2016, and we hear that color over and over again.
Okay, so I understand there's something new coming up, and we don't have a picture of that one yet, but when you come back on the show, we'll have a picture of this new thing. I understand there's a rose that has a grayish?
Yeah, it's called Earl Grey, and it's a new variety of rose. It's in the lavender family in terms of rose colors, but it's a very pale gray rose, and it is absolutely gorgeous, especially when we're mixing it with Dusty Miller and the Silver Brunia, and sometimes like in the winter we'll do some glitter branches.
I was going to say a little bling, little sparkle.
Little bling.
Okay, so now we have 3 photos of the wraps, the bouquet wraps.
Oh, okay.
And I am fascinated by this. So this first one is this looks like a lace.
Yeah. I can tell you a little bit about it.
Okay.
Yeah. That bouquet was one of the gals who used to work for me. She started when she was 16 and all through high school and college, and then she was finally getting married. And the peonies, the white peonies, were from her great-great-grandmother's peony bush. And we watched those flowers in their yard, and we cut them right at the right time and held them. But when I was at their house one day, she was showing me how she's going to wear her grandma's bridal veil. Yeah. And I said, well, what are you going to wear from Grandma Griswold? And she said, I don't know. Well, Grandma still had her wedding dress. And they brought it into my store, and I took one look at it, and I said, I'm not taking a scissor to that.
No,
so
that's
it was
another
like
television
picture
show,
perfect.
yeah.
So we took her headpiece, which was very Audrey Hepburn-like.
Oh, okay.
And I took all the appliques off, and I took the pearls that were falling apart, and I restrung them, and I created the wrap for her bouquet, and it was just beautiful and so sentimental.
So she had both grandmothers.
Both grandmothers, yeah. It was really special.
Oh, see, I'm getting an idea for a story. That's really nice. I like that. Now there's another one here, another picture of a wrap around a bouquet, and that looks like the back of a wedding dress. I mean, those tiny, tiny little buttons. What's this one about?
Well, that one was actually a sleeve of a mom's dress.
So how nice.
She brought us her mom's dress, and Mom didn't care, because a lot of times with the old, they're not going to wear their dresses again, so they'll use them for christening outfits and such. So we were able to take the sleeve apart, and we took the buttons, and we used the lace and created that wrap. And again, something very sentimental and special to the bride and her mother.
Oh, what a beautiful idea. I just think that is exquisite. And then there was one more photo of another wrap. And this one, I thought, oh my gosh, look at the silver and the sparkle and the little bling in here.
Yeah, that
this
was
is
a
one of
winter
Candace
wedding.
Jeffries'
Yeah, that was a
photos.
winter wedding in Hartford, and actually the Echeveria in there, we sprayed silver and put diamond dust on it, which is a very
Oh my
big
gosh.
European trend to spray the Echeveria and cover it with like some diamond dust or glitter, and that's what we did to.
Terry, forgive me. The Echeveria, that's those leaves at the very bottom?
No,
like
that's eucalyptus, which was also sprayed. But if you can see next to the white rose, you can see the succulent.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I
so
see.
those were sprayed silver and
So they look like
sprinkled.
seed pods.
Yeah, and then
Beautiful.
the wrap, we used a rhinestone wrap on that bouquet because she was a glitzy bride.
Yeah, a little glitzy, simply. And this was a sparkly
It was a winter wedding.
Oh,
It was
how
in
perfect.
December.
So you do consider, the time of year certainly would factor
Absolutely.
into what things are going to look like. Do brides still keep? Do they have a bouquet that they keep, and then another one that they toss?
Absolutely. The trend is going out a little as far as
Yeah.
a toss bouquet. A lot of girls are older now, so there's not a lot of single girls at the wedding. They may be married and such. But for those that do want it, we surely provide it, and it's usually a smaller version of their bouquet. And a lot of times we'll put long streamers because if they're going to throw it over a balcony or a staircase,
The
it's
photo
a good
op.
photo op.
Very nice. Very, very nice. There was something else, another photo you sent me, and I gasped when I saw it in the best of ways. This was a bride with flowers in her hair. It was a headpiece, a circlet, a beautiful wreath of flowers. That was stunning. Look at this.
Yeah, that is something that's coming back as well. We do use them a lot for flower girls and junior bridesmaids, but we do have that garden bride who
Yeah.
wants to wear a wreath.
That is just beautiful. So now that we move from the bride to the bridesmaids, and I have a couple pictures here. One of them, here it is. This is the photo. I love the colors. And the bouquets, they have like a green color
Those
to them.
bouquets were all Echeveria, which is the succulent. And that was actually a few years ago when they were just becoming popular. And we had made a bouquet like that at the bridal show, and this particular bride saw it, and that's when she came to us, and she just wanted that, and she had gotten opposition from her mom, but we did do that, and it was so beautiful.
It is beautiful, and I love the color of the gowns too. It's like it's a different neutral. It's
a
richer.
taupey latte color, and the nice thing about the succulents, the Echeveria, is that you can plant those afterwards.
Oh,
So the
nice.
girls love that. They have something that they can keep from the bouquet.
Like years ago, it was ivy. You would plant a little bit of your
Correct.
ivy. So, what a great idea. So, for those of you who are just joining us, if you are just joining us, I'm talking with Terry Krasavage, and she has a lovely florist shop in Rocky Hill, Connecticut. It's called Terry Krasavage Wedding and Events Florals in Rocky Hill, and we have a lot more photos to go through. So, let's see. Another one for bridesmaids. This one has 6 beautiful bouquets all in a row. I love seeing them all lined up like that.
Yeah.
How pretty. Very, very pretty.
And those
soft
were
colors.
the soft colors. They wore the blush color dresses. They had short lace dresses.
Yeah.
And everything was that blush quicksand and white ivory tone.
Nice. All right, and now we don't want to leave the guys out.
Of course
So
not.
we have a picture here of boutonnieres that, and another little corsage. Maybe is that for?
I think those were all boutonnieres, and
okay.
up in the right corner.
Yeah.
It was the bridal bouquet.
Okay.
That was a collage of photos. The boutonniere on the lower.
Yeah.
In the middle, it was the groom's. That was with a calla lily and a scabiosa pod, which is a little brown pod.
Yeah.
And a little hydrangea and some freesia.
how
And Dusty
pretty.
Miller. Dusty Miller is very, very popular now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grow it in my garden, and it's just,
Yeah.
especially in the evening. Evening, I think with moonlight or just
Yeah,
early
it's-
evening light. It's very, very pretty. So I know that, just a quick run through some of the other elements of a wedding where you would also provide flowers. I know they're flower girls, ceremony decorations, aisle decorations, huppahs and arches and that sort of thing.
We do it all.
There's no place where you
We
wouldn't
should-
have flowers.
Right.
But I want to get into one specifically that shows the whole bridal party. And this one I thought was particularly nice. I mean, I love the look, the black and white look, but that pop of color in the bouquets was so pretty, and yet it still had that elegant
It
look.
was a beautiful wedding in
Yeah.
Mystic, and she just loved flowers, and we used a lot of peonies and ranunculus and Dusty Miller and just lots of beautiful flowers. We even had Lily of the Valley for her bouquet.
Nice. All right, now the centerpieces. Because you have flowers at the head table, you have flowers on the centerpiece flowers, and we have two to show. This one you can see both the high and the low flowers,
Right.
but we have that's gorgeous. So look at that table
That
right
was
in the
actually
front,
the
those low
parents'
flowers.
table. And that was a
Okay.
garland of flowers with the candle pedestals and the Luminara candles that we have that look so real, but they don't need
do.
a covering. They're just beautiful. And then the centerpieces were the tall centerpieces.
All right, let's take a look at that next photo that gives us a better look at those tall centerpieces. So it doesn't interfere with people's looking across the table.
Absolutely. It's in a crystal candelabra, and it was a very lush arrangement, a very full
Very
arrangement.
nice. So tell me, Terry, I know that you also put flowers on top of cakes. The flowers themselves don't have to be edible. I mean, they're not stuck inside the cake.
No, absolutely not. We don't stick any stems in the cake.
Yeah.
What we do is we cut them flush and then place them on extra frosting that the baker usually leaves us.
Nice. So I was thinking about the work, the actual work of being a florist, not just being on the other end of it, being on the receiving end of like that gorgeous arrangement in the back that you brought tonight. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
But also for the couples, their enjoyment of the flowers. But somebody is putting that all together, and somebody has to be thinking of things that most people aren't thinking about. And I wondered what factor, if any, does the venue itself, I mean, what role does the venue play in how you do your work?
Well, we have to consider what venue it is and how many weddings they have in the course of a day. Some of the venues that we work at only allow one wedding, so it's very easy for us to get in there all
At your
day
leisure.
at our leisure to set up. Other venues, some of the historic venues, only allow us a 2-hour window to set up. So we have to be prepared for that. And then some that do multiple weddings, like if we have the 6 o'clock start wedding and the previous wedding ends at 5, we have about an hour to turn that room around. So
Yeah.
it's sometimes very challenging.
Well, I bet. I had not thought about that. What about the time when you deliver flowers, like if it happened, and the temperature? So what if it's like early in the morning and it's cold, because it's been really cold in the morning
Well,
here.
it has been cold, and we don't do a lot of winter weddings, but we do have to take that into consideration because of the cold factor, and so
Yeah.
everything has to be covered as it goes out the door.
Because those little flowers will shiver.
Right,
We
and
can't
absolutely,
have
we
that.
have to worry about that in the summer, and especially one of the things that's become popular is the first look photos.
Yes.
So we're delivering flowers a lot earlier than normal, and if it's at the beach and it's hot, and we have to really take all those things into consideration.
I had not thought about that. Sure, because if it's too hot, they might wilt.
Right.
Ooh, ouch. All right. When you're working with a couple, I know because I saw on your website you have a fantastic worksheet to help couples budget the flowers for their wedding. So give me a couple little pieces of of advice or information when you're working with a couple?
Well, we do that. I do the budget worksheet on the website so that they can have a baseline to work on, because most girls don't know.
Yeah.
And we love Pinterest, and a lot of the girls are on Pinterest nowadays, but they really don't have any conception of what the price is. So we put our prices on our ranges, and so that it gives them something to work with, so they can come to us and say, well, we want to spend X amount of dollars for our wedding. So, and a lot of times how I'll approach it with them is if they're spending, say they're going to spend $4,000 and they have 200 guests coming, that really works out to only $20 a person. So it's a little bit more manageable for them.
Sure. And is there like a percentage of an overall budget that people normally spend on their flowers?
Well, the standard across the U.S. is usually 7 to 10%.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. What do you think is the most common element in terms of picking flowers that surprises couples?
The price, probably.
I would think, yeah. Because most couples, for most of the time, they haven't been through this before.
Right. And they, you have 10 attendants and 20 centerpieces, so all those things add up, and I don't think they realize that when they're coming in. But we really try to work with our brides to make everyone happy,
Well, in terms of working with them and in terms of a budget, where are some of the areas where you might be able to suggest some alternatives to them, where they might be able to help stay within that budget?
The major part of the big part of the budget is the reception, the centerpieces, especially if you're doing 20 tables or better.
Yeah.
And so if you had the idea to do all tall centerpieces, well, if the budget doesn't allow that, then we'll do half low and half tall.
I think that's a beautiful idea.
It is. It works out well. Or sometimes we'll do cylinders with floating candles and just a few blossoms. So we really try to accommodate the total look.
That's pretty too. One last question here, because I'm thinking thorns have to be a hazard for you on the job, yes?
Well, our hands are pretty weathered, so, but it is sometimes.
Well, I think I've got a photo here that you're using as the postcard for your business, and I thought it was so beautiful because it has this gorgeous bouquet on it. And so there we are, Terry Krasavage, Wedding and Events Florals, and I love your tagline. We bring your vision to life, and it really is life. I mean, it's life.
It is, and
flowers.
that's when we deliver the bouquets, from the first consultation to when we walk in the door, when we hear, that's just what I wanted.
Yes. And at the very beginning of the show, I was saying to people, do you really know what those roses are saying? Because they do speak volumes. What do you think when a couple comes in for roses? What's the message?
Love.
Love, yeah. And I think it's also that it's rare. I mean, the rare element of the rose, queen of the flowers, also thought of as an aphrodisiac. And on that lovely note, Terry, I'm going to thank you for being here on Weddings with Zita. It's been great. I also want to say a thank you to my crew and to you in the viewing audience. You know what they say that love can do, so go out there and make the world go round. And join us again next time. Thank you.
Are you planning a wedding or renewing your vows? Let today's leading wedding vendors inspire and guide you. To learn about upcoming guests and join the discussion, like us on Facebook, Zita TV. Weddings with Zita is a program of Moon River Rituals. For more information, visit zitatv.com.